A reading from 1 Corinthians 13, 1 to 13. It reads, "If I speak in the tongue of mortals and of angels, but do not have love, I am a noisy gong or clanging cymbal. And if I have prophetic powers and understand all mysteries and all knowledge, and if I have all faith so as to remove mountains, but do not have love, I am nothing. If I give away all my possessions, and if I hand over my body so that I may boast, but I do not have love, I gain nothing. Love is patient, love is kind, love is not envious or boastful or arrogant or rude. It does not insist on its own way. It is not irritable or resentful. It does not rejoice in wrongdoing, but rejoices in the truth. It bears all things, believes all things, hopes all things, endures all things. Love never ends. But as for prophecies, they will come to an end. As for tongues, they will cease. As for knowledge, it will come to an end. For we know only in part, and we prophesy only in part. But when the complete comes, the partial will come to an end. When I was a child, I spoke like a child. I thought like a child. I reasoned like a child. When I became an adult, I put an end to childish ways. For now we see in a mirror, dimly, but then we will see face to face. Now I only know in part. Then I will know fully, even as I have been fully known. And now, faith, hope, and love abide, these three. And the greatest of these is love."
Hi everyone, my name is Pastor Alice. I have the privilege of giving you a meditation tonight on 1 Corinthians 13. This passage from 1 Corinthians is the most famous, beloved passage for both Christians and non-Christians, I would argue. I have heard it at weddings of both Christians, non-Christians alike. It's beautiful language, and we have it printed on canvas in our own home. But this letter of Paul's that we read tonight, it was not written to couples who were about to be married. It does work wonderfully for those who are making a commitment of lifetime devotion to one another. But this letter was written to a community, a church community, actually. And in reality, we should have this printed and hung on canvas in every church in the world, because we often have to read those famous words over and over again. Love is patient, love is kind, so we can remember how to love one another. But tonight I'd like to talk about another part of the passage that often gets overshadowed a little bit by verses 4 through 8. I think it often gets overlooked, but it has a goldmine of a lesson inside of it. I'd like to talk about talent. Our world, it makes a big deal out of talent. You look at all the TV shows, American Idol, Who's Got Talent. I don't really care about any of them, but they are there and they make money like crazy. And the world often tries to teach us that we are nothing if we don't have talent. At first, it seems like a harmless teaching, and it kind of makes sense sometimes. We are taught that we are created by God, each with unique passions, skills, talent, and we are told to seek out that passion and use it to better the world. And that is all fine and good. It's the reason for human progress, innovation, invention, the world moving forward. But the world has a way of distorting that teaching to us. And it tries to teach us in this distortion that it's only these unique skills and gifts that really matter. We've come up with all of these measuring systems to determine talent and place high importance on them. GPA scores, certificates, prizes, awards. We give out awards for intelligence and grades as young as middle school, and they often make students feel like they don't amount to anything if they don't get one. And you're often judged and evaluated on your resume by how many advanced degrees you have, what letters are in front of your name and after your name. And you often can't get a certain job without those degrees. And it's very easy to believe, with all of this emphasis on giftedness, that you don't need anything else to succeed. You don't need morals or character or faith to succeed. No, you can make your way and earn your living, and as long as you are talented. But it doesn't take too long to realize in life that you have built your life on a shaky foundation. You may have figured out how to be successful and received awards that mark your intelligence and your ingenuity, but your life can still feel strangely empty, and we wonder why. That's because life's meaning, it's not created from our own gifts, but from relationship with God, relationship with others. Possessing skills and talents, they may be like the building blocks of life. They give you identity, but the relationship and community, they act as the cement that can hold it all together. In this famous passage from 1 Corinthians, Paul reminds his audience that it doesn't matter if he has all the knowledge in the world, if he has the skills to prophesy and preach and understand all the mysteries of the universe, if he has all the faith to move mountains, if he follows that famous commandment of Jesus to give away all of our possessions, even still, if he doesn't have love in his heart, he has nothing. And that's coming from one of the greatest missionaries and teachers and writers of Christianity. It doesn't matter if you have the greatest talents in the world, if you don't have love in your heart, if you don't make room for what really matters, relationship and community, then you don't have much at all. And although this text is often used at weddings, Paul was not speaking this just to people who are in love. He was speaking to a community that was on the verge of separating. He was speaking to a community that had a lot of trouble seeing past their differences. A community that had become more concerned with the right rituals, the right beliefs, the right dogma, and they were disagreeing with each other. And instead of asking, how can we love each other and be the church, they were asking, how can you say you are a Christian if you're not practicing what I am practicing? It sounds familiar, doesn't it? Too familiar. Our world seems so divided, just all sides shouting at one another. How can you not believe what I believe? We see Paul's message on display in our world. We see all of these people with unique talents and gifts and abilities, and yet despite all of this intelligence and passion and genius, they are not able to disagree without dividing. That's because love and relationship isn't there. Love isn't there to bind them together, to remind them that they can do a lot more united together than on their own, to remind them that we are meant to be in community together, to remind them that disagreements shouldn't mean the end of relationship. And despite all of our world's emphasis on talent, that's actually not the key to making the world a better place. It doesn't matter if you have the leadership abilities to lead a country with great strength and courage. It doesn't matter if you have amazing public speaking abilities. It doesn't matter if you have this amazing scientific mind and are a math genius, or if you are an engineer who can come up with a creative solution to every problem. If you're a musical virtuoso and you can compose beautiful pieces, if you're a brilliant inventor and you lead us to amazing technological advancements, if you are the next Mary Oliver and you can write words that are sweet to the soul, if you are the greatest preacher or pastor in the world, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you don't have love in your heart. Talent will not teach us how to live in community with one another, how to disagree and dialogue respectively. The world will not thrive if we don't remember we're supposed to be in relationship with one another, especially when we disagree. Paul's message is a very hard sell, especially in the world we live in. To someone who may have never felt the benefits of living in community and living in a community united by God, it especially makes no sense. It seems so much easier to live as individuals instead of living in a community. But those who have felt the benefit of being in relationship and in community with one another, we know what Paul is talking about. And it's really hard work. But I think especially during a time like this, when we are separated from one another, we are separated from our beloved communities, we can really feel how crucial they are to our wellness. You may have experienced church withdrawal the past few weeks, where you felt low, just weeks on end, out of sorts, after not seeing your church family. But I see Calvary especially rising to the occasion, still determined to make a difference even when we are apart, making an impact even when we're separated. And since this pandemic began, a total of $28,413 has been given by the Calvary community, going towards our own operations, the Family Emergency Fund, Family Promise, Bootstraps and Blessings, and Jewish Family Service. We are still doing our part as a community to help change the world, even when we are apart. And we hope it's not for long, but it is encouraging to know that we are the church without the building. And you may find yourself missing some church people that you used to see all the time, and you kind of took it for granted that you got to see them so often. And maybe you're missing those people that you disagreed with on everything. But let us praise God and be grateful that we have a community to miss, because the love is there that binds us together. And let's be thinking about how we can invite others into such a community. We have felt the benefits. We feel the absence. Maybe there's someone out there who feels it as well, and they just need an invitation. So I encourage you tonight to remember the love that binds us together. Appreciate your talents and your passion, but know that's not always what's going to make the world thrive. I hope this meditation was helpful for you tonight. I miss seeing you. I miss preaching in front of an audience. I have Mary Todd right over there trying to distract me at every turn. But I miss you guys very much. And email me. I want to hear from you. I miss seeing your faces. I hope you are well. Go in peace.